Hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another instalment of my ongoing series Valiant till the last. And in this series I am reading for the very first time the entire Valiant universe. I'm doing it by reading my deluxe Valiant hardcovers. So with no further ado, today's episode was meant to be about Harbinger Wars 2. And we'll talk about this in a second because I've read this entire deluxe edition. But before we do, I want to talk about a deluxe edition that I haven't read, and you'll see why in just a second. This is Secret Weapons. It's quite a slim deluxe edition, all things considered, and that's because it only contains 4 issues. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what this looks like. I haven't read this physical edition myself. I have it because I bought it, I guess, in error, or optimistically, but we'll talk about that. So this is the cover, quite different branding to the Valiant covers that we've seen so far. This is now a point where we're getting into the later era of Valiant, like 2018-19-ish, I guess. So 5 or 6 years after the relaunch in 2012. That's why the covers are starting to look stylistically quite a lot different to what we've seen before. So that's the front. The spine still matches up, so this looks great on the shelf. And the back is pretty standard as well. So it's got the usual blurb and the contents and pictures and things like that. Looking at the end leaves, little blurb there. Creators there. And then if we look under the dust jacket, I quite like this. Secret Weapons, stated quite clearly, it's in that sort of gloss they have. And the spine looks good, which is cool. And then a plain back. And then getting into the comic itself, plain end pages. Getting to the comic itself, this contains Secret Weapons issues 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then a bunch of extras, which are selections from the Secret Weapons pre-order editions 1 to 4. So just flicking through this, you can see the 4 covers there for the 4 single issues. And then as I just flick through, nice, glossy, interesting and slightly different art style, a little bit jarring compared to what I've been used to reading so far in terms of the Harbinger stories, but it works fine, it works well, I've got no problem with it. And I'll talk more about the story in just a second. Getting into the extras, we will see here, we've got all these extra blurbs, like all this is extras, like there are loads of them. So it's got overviews of the new characters, it's got interviews, it's got artwork, it's got design work, it's got sort of like this D&D commentary type breakdown of the different pages. Yeah, it's got loads of really cool, really interesting extras. Cool. Now, I didn't read this hardcover, and the reason I didn't read this hardcover is because I didn't need to. And the reason that I didn't need to is because I own, as you saw a moment ago, and you'll see again in just a second, I own the Harbinger Wars 2 hardcover, which is here. Now, let's have a look at this. We have Harbinger Wars 2. This is the cover. This is the spine. We're now getting into what I call the white spine era, which is something all the latest Valiant Deluxe editions have. Not a huge fan of it. It looks a bit too bland as far as I'm concerned, but all good. And then on the back, we've got usual kind of back. Blurb on the left. Creator blurb on the right. And if we pop the cover off, we have this kind of orange buckram with a really cool embossed logo on here. And the standard spine that we're used to seeing for a Valiant as well, if you like to have yours without the dust jacket on. So why am I talking about this now? Why have I just been talking about Secret Weapons? Well, the reason is because this deluxe edition contains all the Secret Weapons issues. It contains Secret Weapons 1 to 4, which we just saw in that hardcover, but it also contains Secret Weapons 0 and Secret Weapons Owen Story 0. And after containing all that, it then contains Harbinger Wars 2, which are issues 0, Lucia's Story, Prelude, 1 to 4, and Aftermath. And then it has the extra features in the gallery. So essentially, all of this, as you can see just when we're flicking through here, this is the same artwork. All of this contains the whole Secret Weapon story and more besides. In fact, it includes issue 0 and the Owen Story one shot as well. So essentially, if you own this, if you own Harbinger Wars 2, then you do not need this. or do you? We'll talk about it in a second, because I think there is an argument to have both of these in your collection at the same time. So let's just get back into this. Before we go any further, I just want to mention the build quality of this hardcover. The hardcover build quality for Harbinger Wars 2 is not great. I'll be honest. It's got a bit of a slump on the spine, which I have not been happy about. You can see there's a bit of give there because the glue's coming away. And a couple of the pages inside the actual hardcover itself were slightly coming away from the spine. Now this is what it should look like. It should look tight, it should look snug, and there we go. But instead what we have is weak gluing there. I am not happy with that. Can you see that there? So yeah, we've got weak gluing there, whereas it should be all snug and in. So this may be something I may need to go get repaired. Unhappy with how the build quality of this worked out. Other than that, the rest of it is all fine. The pages are fine, the papers are good quality, and so on. So let's have a look at what this collects. So to start off with, we have Secret Weapons. It has the first 4 issues, which we just saw in the other hardcover, and then it has a couple of extra ones. Secret Weapons is a 4-issue standalone miniseries introducing a whole new group of psiots. So the same way that Generation Zero was a new group of psiots and Harbinger Renegades was another group of psiots, this is like another group of psiots again. Kind of like having like another X-Team in the X-Men franchise or something like that. I'm not going to give any spoilers as to who they are or what their powers are or anything like that, but it is interesting. One thing I will point out is that once you've read... Hang on, let me just keep going. This is one of the issue 0 ones, which is unique to this hardcover and wasn't in the previous one. And then once you've read that, then what we have here is Harbinger Wars 2. Now, Harbinger Wars 2 spins out directly from Secret Weapons. If you read Harbinger Wars 2 without reading Secret Weapons, you will be quite confused, because the characters introduced in Secret Weapons segue very smoothly directly into Harbinger Wars 2. So I can totally see why they collected together here. What we have is issue 0, we have the prelude, we have issues 1 to 4, and then we have the aftermath. So in terms of that, let's have a look through. It gives you a bit of a blurb and background here, and then it just dives straight into the story. The story's good. It's interesting, it's well done, it's well put together. It's definitely a really enjoyable read. It centres, as you can imagine from the cover here, it centres around the character of Livewire, who's really interesting and well characterised in this, and the story as a whole is definitely worth a read. A couple of points just to kind of keep in mind here. This involves a lot of the wider Valiant universe. It involves Exo Manowar, quite a lot of Exo Manowar, with quite a lot of conversations and conflicts with him as a character. And it's set just after Exo Manowar has come back, apparently, from various travels in space. That's not a big deal. Like, I was kind of conscious of that. Again, like I've said before, I'm aware that Exo Manowar exists. He's basically, having read none of it, he's basically like Thor in an Iron Man suit. I'm aware of the idea. I'm aware it's part of the Valiant universe. It's not really a game breaker realising that he's in this, and he's in it in quite an active role. Similarly, the character Ninjak is in this in quite an active role, but I'm aware Ninjak exists. He's like James Bond crossed with Wolverine, crossed with, I don't know, like a ninja. And also it has Bloodshot, who we've also come across before in previous deluxe editions that I've read. You can see here, this is lying very flat, and in fact it's a little bit too flat and slightly coming away from the spine. It's a very subtle thing, but this is my annoyance about the build quality. And as you see, Exo Manowar and stuff. So, like I said, Exo Manowar, Ninjak, Bloodshot, they're all in this. It's not a problem if you're a pretty relaxed Valiant reader and you just know the TLDR of like these other characters exist, then it's absolutely fine. It's not jarring to read this. The problem is there's another character in this that plays quite a pivotal role, and that character is one where you really need to understand who the character is, where the character came from, their provenance. So I'm skipping through quite quickly because I'm trying to avoid showing who that character is and spoilers. But as a result, for me, I was kind of like, it got to a particular page and revealed, here's this character, and I was just like, who are you? I've never even heard of you before. And evidently it's quite a big deal. So this is now, I think, one of the first Valiant hardcovers I've got to in this reading order where it's reached a point that I thought, yeah, there's a clear misstep in me reading or understanding this story. I needed to have read something else first to have fully understood the impact of some of the revelations in Harbinger Wars 2. That's a mistake I've made. It's part of the learning curve of doing a reading order like this, or reading through like this. And when I find out where those comments come from and where those issues should be read, then I'll let you guys know. But yeah, Harbinger Wars 2 is excellent. It's definitely readable as it is, but there's clearly a better way of reading it that I haven't quite worked out the sequence myself. Now, this is where we come into an important point here. If we look at this is the last page, then we have the special features. And the special features here, we just have a gallery section and we have some covers, and that's it. The reason I'm highlighting this is that the special features for Harbinger Wars 2 do not contain any of the special features from the Secret Weapons hardcover. So if you're a fan of special features and all these extra kind of cover galleries and DVD commentaries and pencil sketches and so on, then to be honest, you'll need to keep Secret Weapons in your collection as well, because it's got loads of awesome special features in that which are lacking from this. That is the only reason to arguably keep Secret Weapons in your collection, but if you are a fan of these kind of extra features, then that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so there we are. Secret Weapons, which I'm going to keep in my collection because I am a fan of these kind of extra features. And then also Harbinger Wars 2, which I'm going to keep in my collection, but I may well take to my binder and ask him to re-glue or refasten the binding. Now, I don't want to imply that it's necessarily every single issue of Harbinger Wars 2 has this problem. I haven't come across anyone else mentioning it. And my version is slightly dinged up. You can see here there's a rip in the dust jacket. I got it from Amazon, and I think it might have just got knocked around when it got delivered to me. But having said that, I don't know. Maybe this is a wider issue. So I will definitely be getting that. It's ridiculous, isn't it? There you go. That's what it should look like. I'll definitely be getting that fixed at some point relatively soon. Okay. Or more accurately, this way around. So, Secret Weapons and Harbinger Wars 2, or basically Harbinger Wars 2, the deluxe hardcover. Is it good? Yes. Is it worth reading? Yes. Is it set after Generation Zero and the Massacre in Harbinger Renegade? Yes. So you'd read all the ones that we've done in the order that we've done them so far, and then Harbinger Wars 2 fits in. There is clearly a bit of a continuity gap in terms of introducing some of the characters that I'll need to look at and address. But for now, I've read this, I've enjoyed this, and I'm carrying on. So after reading this, next week I'll be reading the Livewire Deluxe Edition, which is available and came out just a few months ago. So if you're reading along, please grab that and read along. Let me know what you think. All right, as usual, until next time, thanks for watching.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at @IamThomasJudge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.